clothed in darkness, slumping against itself. Broken beams poked down out of the tattered ceiling. The floorboards rolled and snapped from the damp and the cold. It was empty and lonely and forgotten. He would see her then, in the deepest shadow of the farthest corner. There was only ever the unfocused outline of her body, her knotted hair, her two thin arms and legs, and, of course, her eyes. Black, with just the tiniest white pinpricks for pupils, staring out at him with something that could have been curiosity or barely withheld rage. He didn't know or care. What he knew was that even here, in a place that should have been just his, cursed as it was, she had found him. She had found him. And clarity would slam into him like an alarming gust of wind, and he'd be afraid. For his friends, for the ship that he abandoned, for the souls that he had been made to protect. What had she done to them? How had they lost?
"Because you were foolish enough to think that you could not,"
she said once, somehow hearing the question that he never spoke. Her voice was the same as it had always been, a force of its own, thrumming with 1,000 other voices. Only now, here, it was more subdued, somewhere between a rumble and a whisper. "What do you want from me?" he asked her, forcing himself to meet her gaze.
"All the parts of you that you could never hope to understand," she said. "The power that you've only just scratched the surface of."
"So why don't you just take it? Take me?" Her grimy teeth shone in a horrid grin.
"It is a game, Soul Keeper, and the only way to win is if everyone keeps playing."
Time cycled forward, and then it cycled back. Furniture appeared and then vanished. The sun came and went in violent flashes of light from the windows. Except for the darkest days of the future, when the demon girl was there watching him, he was alone. And he had never been more terrified. When he finally heard the voice, he wouldn't allow himself to believe that it was real. The voice that called to him was one he hadn't heard in so long and missed so deeply that if he believed he was really hearing it, and it turned out just to be another trick of his awful prison, his mind would snap like a dry twig under a heavy foot. But it persisted, calling to him, searching for him.
"Mate!
That voice.
Mate! Are you there?"
He was sitting against the wall, watching the trees outside judder and flail, growing leaves and shedding them over the course of minutes instead of months. It was the same as it had been every second of every minute of every hour since he arrived here. But when the voice spoke, the sound of it exploded into the room like a firework going off. It shook against the floor and the ceiling, and he swore he saw a sprinkling of plaster come falling down from somewhere.
"Mate! Rat! It's me!"
He knew that voice, but it couldn't possibly be real. Yet the sound of his own name was such a sweet thing to hear that he couldn't help but pull himself off the floor, cocking his head to listen. He thought about a time that felt like centuries ago, when he had stood on the side of a highway in New York, talking to the owner of that voice. "My name is Rhett," he had said. "Rhett Snyder," while nearby his dead body hung within the wreckage of the car accident.